Hey guys, it is Jeremy again. Welcome back to Books and Coffee. Today I have a little bit of a different video that I've seen go around booktube for the past couple of months, maybe possibly about a year, and there's kind of two of them. This one is going to be reacting to 1-star reviews of my favorite books, and then there's the one where it's opposite, where you read 5-star reviews of books you hated. And I have a small handful. You guys probably know if you've been a part of my channel for the last few years. I don't really hate a lot of books, except for maybe Beautiful Bastard, but for the most part, so I have a stack of 5 books that are some of my favorite books I have ever read out of all of my books that I have so far. And yeah, we're gonna get on with it. So we got my phone, we're gonna do this, and today we are going to be starting with The Edge of Never by J.A. Redmersky, which I read in 2013. I have not read this book since 2013, so I've thought about 5.5 years roughly, maybe closer to 6 years actually. But when I read this book, this was the very first new adult book that I ever read, and I absolutely loved it. The copy I actually read out of was the self-published edition. I actually have not read out of the new traditionally published version, but I absolutely loved it. I thought the romance between Cameron and Andrew was just wonderful, and it's very witty, and it's very fun. So we're going to start with this one. Set that on the floor. Book Goodreads. So immediately we're gonna, and I'm not gonna name who this is, because I'm just not gonna do that. I mean, if you're really interested, you can always go to Goodreads. I'm doing Goodreads reviews, like 1-star reviews. I think you could do Amazon, but a lot of these books you're gonna get more reviews on Goodreads than anywhere else. This one is, and I'm not gonna say the whole review. I'm gonna kind of go with bits and pieces, and it says, I've been reading some quite few indie books for quite some time until now. The Edge of Never is one of those books which has a crazily high star rating and is a New York Times bestseller, US Today and Wall Street Journal bestseller, blockbuster, and has managed to offend me at least one of every single chapter. I found this to be more of a step away than Beautiful Disaster. I've been meaning to read Beautiful Disaster for a while. It just hasn't happened yet, by the way. Yeah, this review is not going to tell me anything. Yeah, we're going to skip this one. But the one, thing that Andrew actually does say to our protagonist that says, if you were to let me fuck you, you would have to let me own you. And apparently a lot of feminists have a lot of big issues with that quote. That's just kind of who who Andrew is. You know, he wants, the girl that he's sleeping with to only be, well, his. He doesn't want her sleeping with other people. And I don't really see a big problem with it. I guess maybe it's because I'm a guy. I don't really know. But there's a lot of people that just have a lot of big issues with that one. This one says, OMG Yawn Fest. Meet the heroine, Cameron. Cam is kind of the perfect girl men start fights with and best friends get jealous of because their boyfriends have wanted her from 7th grade. I do not understand what guys saw. Why did that just do that? It just backed me out. I'm sorry. This is why I don't do this on my phone. I love technology. Nobody ever. Be easier if I was actually using the app, but I'm not using the app, so it's kind of difficult to, yeah, here we go. Then we have our hero, Andrew. What's his face? It's funny. And then it says, if you were to let me fuck you, you would have to let me own you. And then it has a gif of a girl saying, shut up. And it says a whole bunch of quotes from the book. Yeah, I'm not going to do this one either. So that's the only thing I have problems with Goodreads is people take quotes from the book along with GIFs and then qualify that as a review when it's not a review. Like, tell me straightforward why you dislike the book. Don't tell us what the book is about in your review. Okay, okay, wait, that's kind of a huge contradiction, because I do that as well. I tell what the book is about, but it's Goodreads. Read the summary. It's different when I'm filming a review and I'm telling you what the book is about. That's different. I mean, when you're on Goodreads, you can just pull up the summary. I just don't understand why a lot of reviewers on Goodreads tell you what the story is about when you can just scroll up the page and read. Maybe that's just me. That just doesn't make much sense to me. Apparently this, and it says, disclaimer, hey you, yes you. If you want to read this book without having it spoiled for you, this is not the review you should be reading. Just wanted to point that out. Ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you about The Edge of Never. The survival skills you didn't were missing that will turn you into a special snowflake like our main character Cameron. Survival skill number 1. Slut shame yourself through life. Looks like everyone else is a slut but you. Skill number 2. You are the one that decides what really matters. If you want to be a special snowflake, you must know that everything that matters to you is the only thing that matters. Survival skill number 3. Depression is overrated, but are you really depressed that you're not playing the attention card? Survival skill number 4. You want to be pitied, but you don't know how to achieve that. Yeah, that doesn't happen in this book, but congratulations. I think none of these reviews for this book is really coming to mind, so we're going to be moving on. Because I've read my fair share of really bad reviews. Like, I don't read reviews about books I haven't read, but after I read a book and love it, I will kind of venture into other people's reviews and see what other people thought about the book. I very rarely will read one-star reviews, especially when it comes to books that I love, because they piss me off, so... So the next book we are going to be talking about is Outlander by Diana Gabaldon. This is the first book of the Outlander series, and I have the gorgeous 20th anniversary squishy edition of this book, and this is one of my favorite books of all time, if not my favorite book. Wait, scratch that completely. This is my favorite book of all time. I've never read a book that has surpassed this one yet. From the writing, from the characters, the amazing character development and depth to the characters, just the story of this historical Scotland setting, just everything about this book is my favorite. And out of all of her books, this is still the fan favorite. This one is still the big one. So now we're going to be pulling up the one-star reviews. I forgot to do this for The Edge of Never, and it's kind of too late to go back. But Outlander has a 4.22 star average with 734,000 ratings and 42,000 reviews. And it's also a TV show on the Starz Network, which 4 seasons have wrapped. Season 5 starts next year. Cannot wait, even though I'm really behind. I've only seen the first season. I know, that's horrible. But... let's go to the 1-star. And it has 25,000 one-star ratings. That's a lot. Alright, so if some of these have spoilers, I apologize. It's kind of hard not to. And yeah, so we're going to get started. I gave up on this book because I was substance to be cool. The
actual fact. That is her whole review. Then, yeah, and then it said, and then she has, on bookshelves, she has promotes rape culture, and I'm like, no, it doesn't.
Here's another one. Here I am going to rewrite the scene that ruined this book for me. I get salty. Jamie, some Highlander from the 1740s. Claire, you didn't listen to what I said. You disobeyed me for your husband. You risked everyone's lives, and I'm going to punish you for your misbehavior. Yes, I know the evil man abused you and nearly raped you, but this is your own fault. I love you, I really do, and I don't enjoy this, but people expect me to believe you the punishment you deserve. What the fuck are you saying? Claire, an educated woman. Sorry. Jamie, some Highlander from the 1740s who knows better than to disrespect his wife.
You're right, Claire.
Yeah, I have no idea what this person is even saying. Like, nothing makes sense. But basically, in a nutshell, a lot of people on Goodreads, if you go under the 1-star reviews for Outlander, say that the relationship between Jamie and Claire pejorates, glamorizes rape culture, and basically says that this is a glamorized, glorified, abusive relationship, toxic relationship. I've read the first 2 books to the Outlander series, and where are you pulling that from? Like, is that pulled out of Narnia's ass or something? Because I've read those books. I've read them very carefully because there's like... The book is well over 600 pages, and the font is really, really, really tiny. So I read this very slowly. Why it took me like 4 months to read this when I first was reading this, and it takes a long time. I read every word very carefully, and to read reviews that people say these things, it just doesn't make any sense to me. By the way, this is going to be a long video, by the way, because we're already 12 minutes in. I still have 3 more books to get to, so... This reads like a Harley Quinn romance novel. There's no character development or depth to the characters. It's just sex. There's sex in this book, but there's not a lot of sex in this book, but, you know, okay, that's your opinion. A picture of a dude throwing a piece of paper into the trash, but it missed that says, whatever, it sucked. Okay, that's a wonderful review. Freaking Goodreads tricked me into deleting my review. Luckily, I had a backup copy. Good try. Sorry, guys. I know a lot of my friends liked this book, although a lot did hate it as well. It seemed a pretty even split, but I'm going to fall on the side of hated. I did not like the main character, Claire. I found her irritating and selfish. For a nurse, she knows surprisingly little about childbearing, apparently even after being present for 3 births, such as if women in labor should be walking. She also referred to a man with a disemboweled disease as not a whole man. Classy. Even for her to go all weak in the knees and nauseous over a dead body minutes after she stabs a man in the throat with no remorse. Come on, the fuck on. At least be consistent. Granted, the author did put in a lot of work into the research, and congratulations on making a book about time travel believable, but seriously, if you have trimmed by pages or so some of the interesting plot, bad guys are gay. What's up with that? I might have added a 1 star. Not feeling it. Okay, I'm just gonna say this because so many people point this out, and it gets really annoying when I keep hearing it. Randall, I forgot his full name, sorry, but the main kind of enemy of the book is Randall. Gosh, what's his name? Whatever, the... Oh, I'm horrible. Well, whatever, the enemy of the book, he is not gay. He is not homosexual at all. He is a sadist. He is a psychological, twisted, perverted fuck. He will do anything to manipulate, coerce, and manipulate his victims, as he tried to do with Claire, and he actually does with Jamie. He's not gay. I'm going to set that up. He will do anything and everything to mess with his victims in any way. Moving on. So, next book I'm going to talk about is going to be Fallen by Lauren Kate, which is so hated on, and I just do not understand why. It is not one of my favorite books of all time, but it is a very good book. By the way, this is actually a new edition. I ended up having to re-buy the entire series because I thought I would never read the books, and so I ended up giving my old copies to my sister, which she loves now because she loves these gorgeous, gorgeous color covers with the velvet texture to them. So it's going to be really fun. This is definitely one of those books that I want to reread because I have not continued the series. This is the only book in the series that I've read, and it's the one book that most people talk negatively about. So let's get started with this one. And since I don't edit, give me just a second to find it. On a episode while I do this, I'm going to also tell you guys that I am getting a new camera. I found one on Amazon for about $46. It's kind of massively upgraded. It has it has a ring light that's attached to it. It's not nearly as expensive as the one I wanted, but I just can't afford a $700 camera. It's just not going to happen. Plus, if I'm going to spend $700 on anything, it's going to be to get me like a new phone, because this is like 1,000 years old. Not really, I'm exaggerating, but anyway. So Fallen has a 3.73 star average with 455,000 ratings and 19,000 reviews. Book is 452 pages and was published by Delacorte Press Books on December 8th of 2009. Fun fact for you, Hush Hush came out before this one, which is actually the one I'm talking about after this one. So a lot of people said, oh, it's so funny. It is hilarious to the fact that people say that Hush Hush is a ripoff of Fallen when Hush Hush was published first. Oh, the irony in that is just absolutely fantastic. Alright, here we go. This one rated at 1 star, of course. That says, first off, this one is a very long review. I've actually read this one before, so I'm not going to be reading all of it. I'm going to only read bits and pieces because it's like easily like several thousand word review. First off, I have given this book 0 stars if it were possible, but since it isn't, I'm going to give it 1 star. This book is full of fail. End of story. There is no other way to describe this book, really. That's a lie. There is another way to describe how bad this book is. Take everything that sucked about the Twilight series and multiply that by any number except 0 or 1 or any negative number. Aw, crap, you know what I mean. Because really, this book is a bad version of Twilight except instead of vampires. Oh, and compared to this book, Twilight is a freaking literary masterpiece, and that's how bad this book is. You think Bella is irritating? Meet Luce Price, the most irritating protagonist ever. She's stupid, yet still, however, incredibly smart according to her grades, a creepy stalker, and has 0 sense of self-worth or shame. When Daniel, the story's hero, flips Luce the bird and then proceeds to treat her like garbage on several occasions, what does Luce do? She instantly becomes obsessed with Daniel and breaks into the school record room to find out more about him. Not once does she think she might be crossing a line by going through someone's private records. Obviously, talking to him like a normal person would to find out more about him is out of the question. Oh, and when a guy treats a girl like garbage, that is code for I love you forever. I'm gonna say this. It has been... I read Fallen... Oh, my computer just did a beep, sorry. It has been years since I've read this book. I read it in, I want to say 2013, so it's been about 5 years since I've read this book. So I don't remember everything. I know that Daniel definitely flips her off. He does the whole this. Sorry if that offended you. But he does it for a reason. If people read the book or read the series, he does that because Luce is a reincarnated soul. And every time they meet each other, she basically catches on fire and she is reincarnated all over again. It's a vicious cycle, and they've done this for like 7,000 years. It's just part of the story. He treats her horribly on purpose, yes, to try to get her to be as far away from him as possible, but eventually that doesn't really work out. So he doesn't do this because he hates her. He does it because he's trying to save her life. Get with the program. Anyway, that's all I'm going to read of this review because it's like 1,000 pages. I might read the very tail end of this review. And it says, yeah, I really could go on about the massive plot holes contained in this novel, in which there are several, but I won't. I'm just going to say this one last thing. I'm shocked that something this bad could be published and then, I kid you not, be optioned for a film. The film is great. It's already out on DVD, by the way. It's wonderful. Really, Disney, you really want to take this horribly written excuse of a novel and make it into a movie? Are you really that hard up for script ideas? Really? Fine, go ahead. Perpetuate the death of all good literature despite mediocrity. Rape the young minds of our society. I mean, everyone else is doing it. Why not join in? As long as you make a buck, who cares, right? I think 50,000 just brain cells just exploded upon reading that. Quick review of Goodreads rating system file, blah, blah, blah. And then this was last one that says, over 300 people have liked this review, blah, 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 blah. Also, special goes out to the creators of Goodreads, Delacorte Press, whoever greenlit this book, all the trees that selfishly laid down their lives so this book could be printed, and of course, Lauren Kate, peace out. I'm like, I think that's where I'm going to stop with this one because that review is just too much. Like, it's one thing to not like a book, but to spend literally, like, I've actually read this review before, and I'm not going to post it down below. I'm just not, because I don't want anyone, you know, to go and attack her or anything like that. She's very valid to have her own opinion. She, you know, as we all are, so, you know, she really felt that way. But the fact that she used the term raping of young minds, this is a love story. I don't really understand. See, I can't even speak coherent thoughts here. See, this is why I don't read one-star reviews, because they always just make me, kind of angry. So the next book we are going to be talking about is going to be, sorry for the moment of silence, it's going to be on Hush Hush by Becca Fitzpatrick. I'm in love with this book. This was the first book I ever read after reading the Twilight series, and I read it in like no time. It's nearly 400 pages. This book was wonderful. This is also a rebuy for me. I finally rebought the series, and I'm just so happy to own these books again. This is definitely, and you're going to see this book again in a couple videos from now, because I'm planning on doing a whole video of books that I plan or am trying to attempt to read in the winter time. And reading this series is going to be really fun. So, Hush Hush by Becca Fitzpatrick is the next one we're going to, like I said, 25 minutes in, we're going to be... Alright, this one has a 3.98 star average. Sorry if my face gets really bright, it's because the phone is right by my face. This one has a 3.98 star average, 526,000 ratings, and 23,000 reviews. This book was published on October 13th of 2009. Huh, that's funny, that's actually my birthday. So this book was published about 2 months before Fallen was. So, if anything, like, I don't understand how people say that certain books or authors copied from each other when no. Here we are. This one has 22,000 one-star reviews. Or ratings, I should say, actually. Because not everyone who rates a book writes a review. And if you did, you would have over 500,000 reviews. Can you imagine trying to read all those? Okay, here we go. Hush Hush is the story of Nora Gray, an average high school student going about her business as usual until her biology teacher rearranges the class seating and places her next to the dangerous-looking new kid, Patch Darpaccio. I've never really known how to say his last name, but I think that's somewhat right. Nora gets a weird feeling from Patch, and things just keep going from bad to worse as Nora becomes convinced that she is being stalked and may even be a target of murderous intentions. Add to the list that Nora's strange feelings about the Archangel ride at the amusement park and her constant near-death experiences as well, and Nora's life is becoming anything but average. Excuse me. When I finished reading Hush Hush, I had to mull it over for a while. I really wasn't sure what to say. I am absolutely enthralled by the cover. As was I. As soon as I saw this absolutely gorgeous cover, I knew this had to be a great story. And it is. I love this series. I ended up reading the first 3 books of this series, and then I read the first 144 pages of the last book, and for some reason just never finished it. Don't know why. Probably because I was really attached to these characters when I was starting to read Finale, and I just didn't want to say goodbye to them, because this is like one of my favorite book series of all time. And I kind of want to rebuy them all in paperback so I can add massive tabs and sticky notes to the rereading process. Maybe. I mean, it's only like $20, $23 on Amazon, so it's pretty good for all 4 books, but I have the hardcovers, so, and I love hardcovers, so. Moving on. I had to see what was on the inside because of that cover, but I had a sneaking suspicion that a cover that good had to be masking something. Yep, it's a bright light to dazzle the eyes and make you overlook any faults. It didn't work. Let's scroll down a little here. She thinks she's being stalked. She thinks her best friend has been kidnapped by a teenage murderer named Elliot, and by this point, she thinks she's a target of that one as well. If Nora will jump to conclusions on the barest of evidence, how in the hell does she not comprehend the obvious? This is another series that people seem to think that Patch is a abuser who is stalking her and all this other stuff, and now it's been even longer. I read Hush Hush 8 years ago. I read it in 2011, so I really don't know this book very well, so I'm not really commenting much on this, and so that was this one. Now that we're approaching practically 30 minutes, we're going to be talking on the last book. I'm not really good at this, you guys probably know, but I like to do my own thing anyway and kind of just go with the flow. Plus, yeah, So the next book we are going to be going over is City of Bones by Cassandra Clare, the first book of the Mortal Instruments series. And this, you guys know, if you've been a subscriber for a while, or even if you're first coming to this video, that this, pardon me, is the book that started everything for me. This was really the first book that really that I ever read anything of urban fantasy of. I guess you could also count Harry Potter as some kind of urban fantasy, because it has other magical creatures that aren't not just witches and wizards, but there's just all kinds of magical things within the Harry Potter world. But this really just made me fall in love with a whole new batch of characters, and it made me fall in love with a magical world that I think is a little bit more fantastic than Harry Potter. I'm probably going to get some hate for that one, but then again, I haven't read... Okay, actually, I take that back. I mean, I've read more books in this world than I have of Harry Potter. I've only read 4 of the books, but let's get on with it. So, City of Bones has a 4.11 star average with over 1 million ratings. Holy crap. Now, I would also have included Twilight in this video, but that's kind of my, I could easily, it's too easy to pick Twilight because everybody hates Twilight. But this book is 485 pages. It was published on March 27th, 2007. The book is over 10 years old. Awesome. It has, once again, over 1 million ratings with 57,000 reviews. Honestly, knowing City of Bones and everything that's in it, I am honestly completely flabbergasted that it has gotten so popular that it was. I've read the entire Mortal Instruments series. I know what it entails, but I'm still very shocked at the popularity. I don't know why. I just kind of am. This one says, all of y'all commenting in 2018 need to get over it. I've moved on to a different account. This one doesn't make any sense. I think there was part of this review that's missing. But basically, this first review is just basically saying that Cassandra Clare was plagiarized something. I don't know if I believe that one, but... And this review is, oh my gosh, it's so long. We're going to skip to a different one. I just wish some reviewers would just do short reviews, but nobody ever does. And I need to link this under the 1-star reviews. It's under the basic right now. So this book contains 41,000 1-star ratings. Which, considering it has over 1 million ratings, that's actually fairly low. Do not ever read this book. It is a horrible book, and none of the characters make any sense, and plus the main love interest, Jace, is an abuser. We're moving on from that one. I've decided to DNF this book after not touching it since January. It just doesn't feel worth it anymore. There are other books I care about more and I'd rather spend my time on. Fair enough. Fair enough. I think we've all kind of gotten that way about a book every once in a while. See, for me, I say that about a lot of books that I'll say, and then I spend the money, or it's like a gorgeous hardcover, or I'll really like the cover of the book, and then I'm like, well, maybe I'll read it, and then I end up unhauling it and giving it to friends. I'm really bad about that sometimes. Clary annoyed me. Jace annoyed me. Isabel was the typical beautiful but yet slightly bitchy girl. Yawn, boring. Can we stop having this typical one-dimensional character? Alex slightly interested me with his internal debate about who he is. Basically, all of the characters were just boring. All but Magnus Bane. He was pretty badass. I'm hoping the next books are better. I don't know if I should attempt to read the next books. It's really fun to read other people's reviews, especially people who would like hate the book, because when I was reading City of Bones for the first time, I think what immediately struck me was I really fell in love with so many aspects of the characters. I really liked Clary because she was a painter, and she loved to draw, and she loved to paint. I loved Simon because he was like in a band, and he was this nerdy, awkward character. I loved Jace because he was this very arrogant, very kind of pompous, very, oh, really, darling, kind of, I don't know how to really word him. I loved Isabel because she was this girl who loved to wear dresses. She loved putting on makeup, but she don't get on her bad side because she'll kick your ass. I love Magnus Bane because he was flamboyant. Well, you know, he was gay, he was glittery, he was sassy, and he was a badass. So I really fell with love how different all the characters were in that series. And I think it takes a lot to read a 6-book series when you really do love the characters at the center. And I think that's just what really kept me reading all 6 books. So I think I'm really just going to end this here. And I also apologize for this being so insanely long. That was definitely not my intention. I'm hoping when I do the reverse to this, which will probably happen at a later date, it will be much, much shorter. But I hope you guys have a wonderful day. Thank you for staying. If you have stayed for all 36 minutes of this video, thanks so much for watching, and I will have more videos coming very, very soon. And until then, you guys have a wonderful night. Thanks for watching, and